NFTists, and welcome to another great episode. As always, we provide value. So, the guest I have today is a very special one, but you will understand in a couple of minutes. Hey, Danosch, welcome. Thank you so much for accepting my invite. How are you, man? Great to see you finally.
Yeah, likewise. Very nice to meet you, Xenia. It's been a long time since we've got to know each other, and very excited to finally be on your show, and very excited about discussing NFTs with you today, which is, I believe, the topic.
This is all about. I mean, in our case, this is all about. This is what we do. We are an educational platform, and we are trying to bring as much as knowledge possible to our communities. But obviously, from great people like you that are really serious in what they're doing, and this is very important. I will start with a very important question that I hear so very often, and I'm definitely sure you hear this too. Is the NFT market dead? This is the main question that I keep on hearing in the last period.
So there is this big misconception about NFTs, and people think that NFTs are dead just because they had a bit of a rough patch in the last few months. But I can tell you, if you look at the actual volumes of NFTs being traded right now, they are higher than ever. So NFTs are certainly not dead, and they are very much here to stay. It's just that right now, in terms of prices, yes, you can buy a lot of NFTs at a discount. Do I believe that they will appreciate again in value? Yes. We have seen a small rally in the Ethereum price, and this has, of course, helped to support the increase in the price of NFTs. Is this rally going to be permanent? I don't think so, because the overall macro doesn't look too good. But I do believe that once we have the next kind of crypto rally, NFTs will follow, and usually NFTs, if you look at the correlation towards crypto, are quite leveraged correlation. So I do certainly believe that if you look at the current NFT space, it will definitely appreciate in value, and you will have more kind of applications of NFTs down the line.
Very interesting. Very interesting the way you saw it from that perspective. But now you see, and I also believe that this was a major problem, and that's why most of the people somehow lost their credibility in the NFT industry. And obviously, the next question is like, why do you think so many NFT projects are failing, or why do you think NFT projects are failing in such a huge amount?
So what happens most of the times, I mean, in some cases, it's a simple fact that uh, the intentions behind the founders was malicious to start with. So they take the money and they run off with it, what we call rug pulls. Although I wouldn't say that that is a majority of the projects. It happens, you need to be really careful. NFT investment is very much like VC investment. When you invest into an NFT project, it's almost like you invest into a startup. It's the same reason why, why does most startups fail? If you look at the startup scene, most other startups don't make it past the first year.
Yes.
And very few startups makes it past the first 5 years. NFTs is nothing different. In fact, if anything, NFTs is more risky to invest in, which is why when you invest into NFTs, you need to have the same approach as a VC would have. You need to analyze and do your due diligence, not just with the project and the idea, but the team, their background, their experience.
You're right here, and I totally agree. But I think you obviously know how VC works. But if you think about the general population, the mainstream, they're obviously not familiar with what a VC is and how it works and so on. So I think that's the main problem. That's why I put it in this way, because imagine that we should basically give some examples to people on what should they pay attention to before doing any steps, because as far as we know, most of the people were mainly interested in making money. That's why they invested, which is great. It's fine. It's totally normal. But what should they pay attention to? Because the way I see it and the way you expose it in that sense, in my brain makes a click in the idea that those founders are in lack of experience. That's why they fail, right?
Yeah, so one of the kind of biggest red flags when it comes to investing into NFTs is when the founders are anonymous, when they're not out there publicly with their own kind of personal identities. Many times it is because they, it's very common in the NFT space, but I personally tend to not invest into projects where the founders aren't what we call it doxed. Doxed is when you have a public identity and you have come out of your kind of JPEG profile picture and you've shown your real face and your real name and your real identity.
Exactly.
So a lot of these projects, they fail because people are hiding behind these fake identities, so that they don't really carry any risk by failing to their personal kind of reputation.
Bad intentions,
Which
right?
yeah, which is super important. You know, your personal reputation, if you care about it, is everything, right? Um, which is why investing into the founders and the team, a VC is a venture capitalist, right? When they invest capital into startup, as an investor, they look at the team, what's their background, what have they done before. If you look at, for example, a very successful NFT project, Proof Collective, that was started by Kevin Rose. Kevin Rose had multiple years of experience already as a podcast host, just like yourself. He had a big following online. He had a big audience. He had a lot of reputation. So for him to put his name behind a project, he puts a lot at stake. And for someone like him to do that, yes, it brings a lot of credibility. But that doesn't always mean that just because you have good experience in the past that you will succeed in the NFT space. Again, there's many other things you need to take into consideration.
Can you give a couple of examples here? This is very interesting.
Yeah, so you know, when we look at projects, some projects like Goblin Town, it was a free mint. You could mint them for free, and then suddenly, you know, they skyrocketed. Why? They had innovative art. They didn't have any specific roadmap on what they would deliver next, but they were really good at storytelling. And if you look at Bored Ape Yacht Club, if you look at most of these, even Artifact, they have been very good at storytelling and creating this brand story around their product, around where they're going. And I think any project, if they have a great story, they have a higher chance of being successful. All those stories, not everything. If you look at, for example, Pudgy Penguins, for them is about conveying the message that they are a household brand, you know, that they are friendly, that they are cute. It's about the IP surrounding their artwork. So every NFT project is different, and you don't have one success formula. But if I would name a few, is one, of course, is who's the team behind it and what experience do they have. One is what does the artwork look like? Is it the artwork that can be easily replicated in other kind of avenues? Can it be used on consumer products? Can it be used as IP in, for example, movies, in animated movies as characters? That's another thing. And what's their storyline? You know, how good are they at storytelling? How active are the founders online on Twitter? One of the kind of key reasons why some projects are really successful is because of their social relevance. It's because the founders are super active in social medias and their founders are really, you know, creating a brand for themselves. So those four things I would say definitely I would look at.
That's very interesting. Thank you so much. This is really useful. Now shifting a bit, okay, we understood the problem of a couple of problems that we might face. But from the other perspective, what makes an NFT valuable? How can we decide?
So again, it goes back to those four things, right? And of course, what makes it valuable is how much money is flowing into the NFT. NFTs by nature are finite in supply. So usually when you have a collection, it's a limited collection. And that per se, if you have enough demand, stimulate enough demand, you will automatically increase the price of the NFTs. And what you need to do and what you need to look at, you can look at the metrics that you find on platforms like NFT Go is a great analytics platform to analyze price action, analyze volumes, you know, from a technical point of view, analyze the data behind a project. But then you have more fundamental things like what are the partnerships that the projects are entering into? What is their kind of long-term plan? Out of the things that they had promised in their roadmap, what have they been delivering on? And that will give you a good indication of how good this team is on actually executing on what they say they would do. So those two things combined will give you an indication, together, of course, with the macro kind of environment, to give you an idea of where the price might be going.
Very interesting. Okay, that's a good one. Now we were talking about volumes, and we were talking about a collection that can be limited and how to make it grow. But so far, I mean, we have done some analysis, and we understood that liquidity is very important, so you can have that traction, right? The question here would be, how can founders or the teams behind these NFT projects can generate or create more liquidity for the projects? Do you have any ideas or advices that might be helpful?
So one way to create liquidity is, of course, to partner with uh, some of the kind of bigger names in the NFT space, what we call the whales, guys who have very big wallets, have big funds to invest and deploy into your project. If you can get a few of these whales into your project to buy up larger amounts of volumes, you can create that liquidity. You can also raise capital from elsewhere yourself, from investors, and use that capital to stimulate trade and liquidity. And if you also hold, let's say, a treasury, like we do in our style, you can use that treasury and get loans towards it. Although that's a much more risky approach, and we don't take that approach. But you can use your NFTs as collateral to get loans and use that money to increase your liquidity.
Very interesting. Thank you so much. This is actually very important. Now to shift a bit regarding the direction, because we are in 2023, we start a new year. What kind of NFTs you think might or are in demand or might be in demand this year? I mean, can we have, do you think we will have some new things, new innovations or something like that, or we still have something trending right now that you know about?
So what I see is trending right now is definitely generative art. So generative art is when you have art that is generated automatically through a computer software or program. So you give it a set of certain rules and codes. For example, you can create different layers in Photoshop for the nose, the mouth, the ear, and then the computer will generate random images. And this type of generative art is becoming increasingly popular. We see, big artists like Rafik Anadol is now launching his own generative art collection, and I think this is going to grow even more in the new year to come. I also believe that gaming NFTs that are used as in-game assets, will also grow in this year. And one area of NFTs which I believe will also have a lot of growth this year is utility NFTs. In the last year, we saw a lot of NFT projects that not necessarily had any utility. Utility basically means that the NFT has an actual real world value. So, for example, if you can use your NFT to get discounts, if you can use it to get access to certain restaurants, if you can use it to get some sort of benefit, then that's a utility. Those type of NFTs, I believe, will be on the up and coming. We see them with airlines as well. So now Etihad Airways, they have their own kind of NFT project where you
Really?
can collect miles by owning the NFTs and staking them.
So good to hear that. That's very interesting. Okay. On the other hand, what do you think is the greatest problem the NFT industry is facing so far?
Well, as I mentioned before as well, I think one of the biggest issues we're seeing is the issues of scams. And you have that with any kind of nascent industry. I recently read an interesting tweet by Mondoir, who's a very famous collector over in the UK, and he has a very cool gallery in Liverpool. On his tweet, he said that the first bank robbery was in 1831, or at least the first recorded bank robbery, and it took the banks, several years to develop sophisticated tools and procedures to kind of prevent bank robberies. And even after hundreds of years, you still see them every now and then. But back then they were very common. Right now we are in the 1831 of NFTs, right? So we have a lot of people taking advantage of this. That's why people need to be extra careful. They need to, double check everything 2, 3 times before they make a transaction. Don't click on any malicious links. And to get people onboarded onto that and to get them educated, sometimes people just have to, learn the hard way. But the more we can reduce that, the more we can reduce the failure rate, the better it is for the environment and for the space.
The hard way sometimes can be the very best way, if you ask me, in my personal opinion. Now, we are almost about to see or to have a regulated market in everything related with crypto, blockchain, and obviously NFTs. Now, what do you think will the impact be on NFTs when it comes to having a regulated market? Will that be better or not really?
I think for NFTs, it's a massive opportunity to be regulated. The reason why I think it's a massive opportunity is because as soon as it gets regulated, you will see more financial institutions entering into the NFT space with their capitals, with liquidity, with money, and that is going to push up all these markets. So I definitely believe that regulation is helpful. It will also encourage entrepreneurs to create more innovative and creative businesses that are within the scope of regulation. In Dubai, for example, we have the VARA, the Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority, and ADGM in Abu Dhabi. They are working really, really actively to create this safe environment for entrepreneurs. And they have various sandboxes where you, as an entrepreneur, can create your business in that regulatory environment and work with these regulatory bodies to make sure that you are not sidestepping or crossing any lines.
Wow. Yeah, because things are actually evolving, let's say, and then I think sooner or later this will happen for sure, and it will be 100% completed. Even though yesterday I had a podcast with a lawyer, a crypto lawyer. She was a tax crypto lawyer, and she told me that the governments are actually moving very, very slow. They're like, I don't know, they're still back 10 years ago. That's the point where they are. So she said that it might actually take up to 5 to 10 years to have everything 100% completed when it comes to
I think Dubai is very different, or UAE in general is very different, and I think that UAE is very fast at moving.
I was about to say, you guys are very fast and very good at that.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to take 10 years. Maybe in Europe, definitely it will take 10 years because of all the bureaucracy.
Yeah, she was talking about Europe. That's for sure.
Yeah, but definitely in the Middle East, you will see things move definitely faster.
Okay, but now, what is the role that you think NFTs will play in the larger crypto and blockchain ecosystem? Especially, or maybe let's put it this way: how do you see NFTs in the next 5 years? Like, what will be the impact of these digital assets?
So first of all, I think that NFTs, how it's different from crypto and blockchain is that NFTs is crypto, but with emotions. It's almost like you've sprinkled a bit of color on crypto, and you created this emotional connection to the tokens. And it's completely revolutionized the whole crypto industry. Now people love to collect these collectible items. They're what we call the JPEGs, pictures of monkeys, and building these communities around them and creating that sense of belonging. So in a way, NFTs are really revolutionizing the crypto blockchain space. Where I see it in the next 5 years is I see that NFTs will enter into all aspects of your personal life, everything from digital fashion to gamified living. Let's say you wear VR headsets and you create a gamified living environment for yourself, or augmented reality, personal assets like digital.
Metaverse also maybe.
Absolutely. So metaverse is also like related to the gamified living aspect, but metaverse is going to explode over the next few years. It's not there yet, but at some point it will exponentially grow, where people are not going to visit malls at some point. They will just put on their VR headset and go into the store they want to purchase clothes at and try it on into their virtual avatar. That's the future of kind of clothing and the fashion industry. You're going to have digital fashion shows that people can tune into from the comfort of their homes. So yeah, it's gonna change a lot of aspects of what we have today. I believe that NFTs in 2024, it's going to enter into real life assets, into collectibles. So I believe the collectibles market is a really, really interesting space. And old-fashioned vintage cars, watches, Rolex watches, that type of items, paintings, all of these at some point will start to become fractionalized into smaller pieces.
it sounds like tokenization. This is what you're talking about, right?
Tokenization, exactly. And in the shape of NFTs, I believe that NFTs will play an important role in tokenization. Why? Because of that emotional aspect of having an artwork on your token.
Okay, that's fantastic. Anyway, one of the questions, obvious one, was that if you still believe in NFTs, but I think you just replied everything with what you said, and I saw that smile, so you definitely believe in NFTs for sure. Now you are the co-founder and COO of the largest Web3 community in Middle East. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think so, because I know ArtsDAO, and that is actually something really great what you guys doing there. But I will let you speak a bit about it, so you can introduce us to what is ArtsDAO and how it works and what it's all about.
Thank you. So, no, you're absolutely right. We are right now the leading kind of NFT Web3 community out of the Middle East. ArtsDAO started as a very small community of people that were just passionate about NFTs. We had small meetups, we gathered around, and then it started to grow exponentially. And we went from 10 members to 30 to 100. We did an event at the Arts Club in Dubai, a private members club. That was kind of our first big event. Then we did multiple yacht parties with some of the biggest NFT brands out there, like Artifact, that got acquired by Nike. We did an event with Doodles. We did one event with Mercedes. We did one small roundtable discussions together with Ripple Labs and Gary Vee. We've done a lot of cool stuff. And at some point, we realized, how do we take it to the next level? So we launched our own collection called the Eternal Gates. And that acts as not just a membership access to this private members community, but it also gives you access to all our events, all the cool stuff that we're doing. And over the next 1 year, we have some really, really big plans for all the members of the ArtsDAO community. And I can't give you too much information, but what I can say is that two of the big things that we're planning out right now is two large events. One is ArtsDAO Fest, which is happening in 1.5 months' time from now in Dubai on the 11th of March, which is going to be the first NFT festival in the UAE of its kind. And the second event we're planning out is NFTiST. So we hold the trademark for NFTiST, and we're looking to do that end of this year, which is going to be an even bigger event. So those two events we have on the horizon. We have something really, really cool planned as well for the summer, but unfortunately it's really confidential right now. But hopefully soon enough we'll be able to share that info.
I can't wait to hear about that, to be honest. I'm watching you since the inception, and what your guys doing there, it's actually fantastic, because it's what I call as being pure hard work, love for what you do, and a very, very big drive, and a massive drive for that. Now, obviously, your community started to grow a lot, and it's quite big. So being in touch with people that are in NFTs and into NFTs, what do you think is that one important and valuable thing that really matters for them, for the community?
So what matters for the community? Well, for the community, I think if we look at our community, one of the
most.
Sorry?
What's the value they appreciate the most when it comes to what we're doing?
Yeah. So the one thing that I would say our community really, really appreciates is the physical meetings and meetups and interactions, not just meeting people online. Of course, that's great. We have a huge WhatsApp group. We have a big Discord. Those chat groups are great. But more than that is, at the end of the day, we're social animals, right? So we love to meet in real life. We love to, connect. And that is what our community has really, really loved. And that's what we will double down on even more and create these real life experiences. And not just through events in the UAE, but we're looking to expand this to other parts of the world as well. We right now expanded to Saudi just last week. We also expanded to Lebanon. We're looking at potentially expanding to Europe, South America,
London
Asia.
Is waiting for you also. UK is waiting for you also, guys.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you're more than welcome.
Thank you.
It would be great to have you here as well. But you're anyway a global project, I would say, even though you have the base there. I'm definitely sure that you won't stop. You will never stop, and you will grow and grow and grow. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
Well, definitely we will continue to work really, really hard to deliver what we have promised, and even beyond that.
continue to smash. This is what I would say. You have my support, and I would be
Thank
watching you
you.
guys, and I'm there. Thank you so much once again. It's a wrap. We finished. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
And for this valuable knowledge that you have been shared with us.
No, it was a pleasure and my honor. Thank you so much for inviting me. And yes, I'm really excited about seeing the episode. I love what you're doing and love the fact that you try to onboard more people into the space. I think it's super important to have people like you. So yeah, just continue keeping it up. And yeah, thank you so much.
What else is more important than not knowledge, education? Because based on what we have in our minds and the action that we're taking, we can actually create a better life for us and for everyone else if we have that good intention. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, whatever. And I really hope that it was helpful and Danosch provided us with some great knowledge. See you soon. Stay tuned.
Thank you so much.
Done.
Ciao.